Today we will discuss about the Punjab University online exams, and our subject is microeconomics, and I will discuss the MCQs of the third chapter, that is classical theory of income and employment. And two chapters we have discussed before, that is introduction of macroeconomics and the second one is the national income and its determinants. Now the first question is, who are known as classical economists? Now the options, various options are given. Now the correct answer is all of the above. That's Adam Smith and Ricardo, J.S. Mill and Edgeworth, and C is Pareto and C and Marshall, and all these economists are known as the classical economists. According to classical economists, what is the right statement? The right answer is that all of the given statements are right, that there is always full employment in the economy, every job seeker gets the job, and the C option is there is never involuntary unemployment, and D is resources of the country, economy are full employed. So all these options are right according to the classical economist. Now there is a term that is involuntary unemployment. Basically, this type of unemployment occurs when a person is willing to work at the prevailing wage rate yet is unemployed. So we can say that according to classicals, there is always full employment, so there is no involuntary and unemployment in the economy. Third question is, according to the classical economist, various statements are given. Now again, all the statements are the right one, that there is laissez-faire economy and no government intervention in the economic affairs, and C is there is free enterprise economy. So A, B and C are the right options, and the D one, that is none of these, is a wrong option. Fourth question is, which are included in the assumptions of classical model, which one is the right assumption of this model? So again, the right option is all of the above, and that all the four statements are included in the assumptions of classical model, that a closed private economy with no foreign trade and no government, and shortened model with same population, capital, technology and organizational knowledge, and fixed supply of money and homogeneous labor. Classical model is basically include no government intervention and no foreign trade. So all these assumptions are the right assumptions of the classical model. Now the fifth question is, according to assumptions of classical model, what are the right statements? Again, all of the above are also included in the assumptions of classical model. There is perfect competition in all the markets, prices are flexible, wages are flexible, and interest rates are flexible. These all are also included in the assumptions of classical model. Sixth one is, which of the following is not included in the assumptions of classical model? So the right option is three-sector economy where government is involved. This statement is basically not included in the assumptions of classical model, and the other statements, that is production of whole economy depends upon labor while capital is kept constant. B is saving is a function of interest, and C is investment is the function of interest. All these three statements are included in the assumptions of classical model, except the D one, that is free sector economy, which is not included in the assumptions of classical model. That is good, which has demand will have a supply, and aggregate supply is equal to aggregate demand. And third implication is that there is an automatic mechanism where all the produced goods are exchanged for one another, and D is nothing will remain unsold and unemployment is there. So we can say that all the four statements are basically verify this or Say's law, that supply creates its own demand. Eighth one is goods market is also known as, right option is C1, goods market is also known as real sector and the product sector. Both these options are the right one. Ninth is classical aggregate production function is written as, basically classical aggregate production function depends only upon labor, and the capital is kept constant in this model. So the right option is A and C, where Y the function of labor, and C1 where Y the function of labor and capital is kept constant. So we can write a classical production function in both these forms, that is A and C. 10th is according to classical model, the aggregate production function of the real national income of the country depends upon classicals के accordingly production function depends upon labor of units of labor, while the amount of capital is kept constant. It's again we have studied 9th question that in mathematical form, now it's theoretical form, the classical model aggregate production function depends upon units of labor and capital is kept constant. Classical production function shows which one is the right option, that is A, an increasing relationship between units of labor and output produced. 12th question is slope of classical aggregate production function slope of classical aggregate production curve shows the rate of change of output. When we draw the curve of aggregate production function, then this curve shows the rate of change of output. 13th question is VMP in economics stands for value of marginal product. In classical labor market, the firm which is employing labor or demanding for units of labor will employ the labor until VMP of the last labor becomes equal to the prevailing wage rate, that is real wage rate. So the right option is the A1, and now here the marginal production of labor is equal to wage rate divided by price. In classical labor market, profit maximizing condition for the firm demanding labor is, again the same question is given in another format, that the firm will employ the units of labor till MP of the last labor becomes equal to the real wage rate, and this condition is known as the profit maximizing condition for that firm. 16th question is the profit maximizing condition for the firm demanding labor. Mathematically we can write this profit maximizing condition as MPL is equal to W divided by P, where MPL stand for margin production of last labor and W divided by P is the real wage rate prevailing at the market rate. 17th question, which is the characteristics of MPL curve? MPL is margin production of labor, and when we derive this in the curve form in graphically, so what characteristic this curve contains? Now the right answer is all of the above, that this curve represents demand for labor, and it shows the inverse relationship between demand for labor and margin production of labor. And C is it shows that at high real wage rate demand for labor will be low. Wage rate will, when the wage rate are high, then the demand for the labor will be low, because at high wage rate firm will demand less labor. 18th question is the curve of aggregate demand for labor has negative slope. Because this curve shows the relationship between demand for labor and the wage rate. So at high wage rate demand will be low, and at lower wage rate demand will be high. So the slope of the curve will be negative. The 19th question is the individual supply of labor. Before we were reading the demand for labor, now it is a question of supply of labor. So supply of labor shows how much work an individual will be willing to offer at different wage rate. B option is how much work the firm is offering for labor. B and C options are the wrong one. The right one is how much work the individual will offer at different wage rate. 20th question is aggregate supply curve of the labor is it is positively sloped. Demand curve for the labor will be negative slope, and the supply curve will be positively sloped, because it is the relationship between supply of labor and the wage rate. At higher wage rate supply will be high, at lower wage rate supply of the labor will be low. 21st question is the aggregate supply curve of labor shows. The right option is at higher real wages supply of labor will be high. Aggregate supply curve ये show करती है कि high real wage rate पे supply of the labor will be high. That's why this curve is positively sloped. 22nd question is in classical model equilibrium in labor market is attained where demand of labor is equal to supply of labor. 23rd is there is unemployment if three conditions are given. The right option is a B1. Unemployment will prevail if supply of labor is equal to demand for labor. Here SL stands for supply of labor and DL stands for demand for labor. 24th question is, according to classical economists, savings are. What is the relationship between saving and interest? So according to classicals, savings are positively related to the rate of interest. 25th is, according to classical economists, investment. Now what is the relationship between investment and interest? And according to classicals, investment and rate of interest are inversely related with each other. 26th is, quantity theory of money is. How can we describe this theory? So the right options, there are two options are right, that is B and C. That is how can we define this? Double the quantity of money, double will be the price level. Or in other words, we can define this theory as any change in supply of money will bring a proportional change in price level. So we can define this theory in two formats. So the right options are the B and C. In classical model, money can influence which variables? According to classicals, money can define. The right option is a D and E, where we can say that according to classicals, money can influence price level and monetary wages, while other variables remain unaffected by the money. 28th question is, quantity theory of money is represented by MV is equal to PY. Mathematically, we can define this theory as MV is equal to Py, where M is money supply, V is velocity of money, Y is output, and P is price level of output. To include the role of prices in classical model, which theory was presented? The right option is the quantity theory of money. According to Pigot, before World War I, there prevailed perfect competition due to which condition? The right option is the A1, that is flexible wages both upward and downward. According to Pigot, after World War I, the labor market became imperfect. Labor market imperfect होने की वजूहात क्या थी? उसमें all the above reasons are included, and according to Pigot, trade unions and collective bargaining, unemployment allowances by government, and secret agreements between labor not to accept lower wages, and D1 is a minimum wage laws by the government. These conditions, due to all of these conditions, labor market became imperfect after World War I. In his book General Theory, J.M. Keynes criticized which theory? The right option is the classical theory of full employment. Keynes criticized the full employment theory of classical economists due to all of these reasons. According to Keynes, there is possibility of overproduction that negate the sales law, and B is presence of other markets like monopoly, oligopoly, and cartels. So it is against the classical economist who says that there is always perfect competition. And third criticism was, savings are not always equal to investment. So there is possibility of inflation and deflation. According to classical, savings are always equal to investment, and Keynes negate this point. And D is, according to classical, full employment prevails, but according to Keynes, full employment is not possible in the real world. If you like my video, please share it and subscribe my channel for more videos.